At this point in time, there are about 17 million moms and dads who have boys who are in trouble mode, obesity, ADHD, doing things like video game addiction, porn, and just sort of destroying their lives, becoming a failure to launch. And they're really concerned about their boys, but oftentimes they're ashamed to talk about what's going on because they don't want to be advertising to somebody else that their son is not doing well.
In my own history, my dad had, just after I turned 8, my father passed away. And I was the 4th child, and my mother that was her second husband who died. I grew up with no self-confidence. I grew up hating the way I looked, so that I learned to comb my hair, tie a necktie, without ever looking in a mirror. All along the way, there were various father figures that actually helped me grow into an awareness of that I was more than what I thought I had been in a funny way. And I think I hadn't really thought about it until Dottie Lamb told me about your book, that my father's death probably had something to do with that.
Yes. Who are the father figures? Can you share with us a little bit about the father figures that were helpful in giving you confidence?
And in funny ways, my Little League baseball coach, I loved sports. I was very, very competitive. I wasn't the best athlete, but I think I was the most driven. My mother was the eldest of 5 daughters, and her father, who had always wanted a son, became a father figure to me, and I think my older brother as well.
But my question for you is, I mean, what do you think that we can do as a nation, especially you if you're elected, in terms of helping our boys to know what kinds of ways that they can really matter, in terms of being a father?
One of the things we did in Colorado was look at our inmates in our prisons and made sure that if they had fallen behind in their support payments, if they were separated from the mother of their child and not connected to their children, we would reduce the payments. We'd let them get down to almost zero because we wanted to make sure that connection was there. And for a long time, our judicial process consciously separated fathers who weren't making enough money from the kids because they weren't providing the full support.
You were just telling us a moment ago how you were the kid that was afraid to introduce themselves to the neighbors, right? And how important it was that you had these people in your life that invested in you. And I'm curious to know what we might do to see that more young men have those kinds of people in their lives.
But we created something called skillful.com. Over the last couple of years, we've realized that what we need is more mentors. And in terms of learning which skills and how to succeed as you go through high school and into whether it's community college or whether you just go straight into work, right? 66% of our kids aren't going to get a 4-year degree, and we've done nothing for them. So this whole notion of mentors, we're trying to create best practices. So we did this in Colorado as the template, and now we're doing it in, I think it's 22 other states that now taking this skillful.com model. But it is mentors, and we used to we have the Boys and Girls Clubs, we have rec centers in the city of Denver, there are all these places that try to do it. But it's uncoordinated, and there aren't really the best practices that maybe that's a place that the federal government and a White House office on boys and men could really establish those best practices, and how do we get them out?